Good afternoon, everyone. I'm back for BT Talks. Today, I'm going to have my friend Andrew Kotchen, who is the founding partner of Workshop APD, which is an architecture and design firm based in New York City. They work on incredible projects from New York City to the Hamptons, to South Florida, to California, to Colorado. They do a lot of very cool stuff. So bear with me a minute or so, and Andrew should be joining. Thanks for everybody who is tuning in the live. John, salut. Hope you guys are doing well. So this is going to be a very cool conversation. We're going to talk about architecture, interior design, luxury real estate, the different markets, what clients are demanding, especially during the pandemic and post-pandemic. So there's a lot of things that changed, and home has become more important than ever. I see Workshop APD. Okay, here they are. Hi, Sam. Thanks for always tuning in.
Hey,
Hi,
Benjamin.
Andrew.
How are you? How are you doing?
Doing well, and yourself?
Doing okay? Doing
Very
okay?
good. Right now, seems. Oh, there's a little connection issue. It's all good.
Okay, I think it's good now.
Very good.
Is
You're in New York
seems
City right now, huh?
I'm actually in Greenwich, Connecticut right
In
now.
Greenwich. Okay.
Yeah, we actually opened a satellite office here early in the pandemic as a way to sort of service our clients out in this region without having to go in and out of the city.
It's
Which
actually
worked
a
out
good
pretty
idea,
well. Yeah,
especially now, opening an
exactly.
office in Greenwich during this whole pandemic time is good, as a lot of people have left the city.
For
Hopefully,
sure.
I mean, we are both, from New York. We spend a lot of time in New York, and it's a fantastic city. But with all that's going on, it seems there's a movement outside of the city, and it's going on around the world. People, whether it's in Paris or London, are starting to look for more space and quality of life. It's just we're adapting.
Absolutely. And it's, I mean, New York is a resilient place. It will, without question, be fine in the long term. But for now, when it comes to work and people commuting, it's just not a place people want to go. So people continue to work remote, and it seems to work out fine, really, at the end of the day. It hasn't been a real hiccup for us at all, in sort of
For sure.
workflow and work productivity, which is great.
Yeah. So Andrew, so first of all, thank you so much for being a guest. And secondly, for those who don't know you and your firm, could you tell us a little bit about you, your journey to where you are, and also starting this firm, which for me is one of my favorite firms. I,
Thank
found
you.
about your firm probably 2 or 3 years ago. I always was fascinated by architecture and interior design. I'm in real estate, so it's all connected. I think there's a lot of things that are connected. And the work you guys do, whether it's in New York City, the Hamptons, South Florida, I know you're developing a lot down here and other
hmm
parts of the country, is really stunning. It's a very unique design, and it's top-notch quality. So tell us a little
Well,
bit about
thank
you
you.
and your firm.
Sure. So I early in my career had an opportunity to venture out on my own at a very young age, and I feel like I sort of took advantage of those opportunities, built up a bit of a book of business, made some great connections with some clients, and ultimately made my way back to New York City, where I partnered up with one of my partners, Matthew Berman. We went to college together, ultimately partnered up with a third college classmate of ours, Tom Zoli, and have slowly over the past 22 years grown our practice. We started primarily in the residential sector, as that was where we were getting work. And
Yeah,
I think as we began to see opportunities in different regions, we realized, in particular coming out of the recession in 2008, that we wanted to diversify our practice and become a firm that was more multidimensional, not so vulnerable to economic shifts within one sector or another. So we then grew into development projects, which has since grown us into hospitality projects, doing restaurants and hotels around the country, and the firm has grown to about 50 people right now. And we think of ourselves as sort of a full service holistic practice where we balance both architecture, interior architecture, and interior design under sort of one umbrella, where our projects have a singular mindset from the very beginning. And our clients seem to respond really well to having sort of one team under one roof execute their project from start to finish. And our work and the locations for our work have really changed over the years. Clearly in today, in the COVID life, the sector of our business that does high-end residential work is doing very well. As you said, Benjamin, people are really seeking shelter outside of urban areas, certainly into South Florida for more than COVID reasons, but for tax reasons as well. Florida's become a really popular spot for our clients, and we generally go where our clients take us. And there's sort of a triangle between New York, Hamptons, Nantucket, Miami, and Aspen, right? They sort of move around that triangle.
It's the same circle. I mean, people from New York, travel a lot and they have their spots. And it's true that, a New Yorker is going to go in the Hamptons or Nantucket, or is going to go to Palm Beach or Miami Beach. And, year round, that's kind of their main destination.
Yeah. And for us, it's been, we're not a firm that does the same type of work over and over again. We're really intrigued and passionate about the places that we work, and we try to create a little bit more of a contextual design to the different regions. So a home we're doing in Palm Beach is not going to really be the same as the home we're going to do in the Hamptons or in Aspen or in Nantucket or in Greenwich. They all have their own sort of unique approach to them, but grounded in sort of a process that we like to think is in tune with what our clients want.
Are you currently working on any projects in New York City or
yes,
mainly Connecticut and yeah?
Yeah, I mean, projects take several years generally. So we have several projects in Manhattan right now that are finishing up that were affected by COVID in the construction phase, unfortunately. Two fantastic apartments on the Upper West Side that are both really exciting projects that we're looking forward to getting completed, both finishing up literally in about 4 to 5 weeks. We've got a few other projects on the boards, a townhouse that we're renovating right now. So there is still a pulse in New York. People, they're there. They're going to be, I like to say the vultures are going to be coming out really soon and really capitalizing on the deals that are going to exist in New York on the real estate side. So we'll probably see a little bit of a bump in about 4 to 5 months from that, we envision. But for the most part, a lot of our work is spread out throughout the country right now, as far as doing single family homes for people.
And usually, what do your clients usually request for? As of now, the times that we're in, for their home, whether it's a townhouse, whether it's a single family home, or even an apartment.
Sure. There's the obvious ones that are certainly creating better home work conditions. I think people realize that they're going to spend more time at home in the future, regardless of COVID. The sort of home life is really been rekindled and refreshed through this time that we're in, and that people are comfortable there and they want their home to feel as though it's an escape, as if they were going to a 5-star resort somewhere around the world. They want to bring that lifestyle back to their home. And then really the main thing that I think we've seen pre-COVID, but certainly ramp up out of this phase, is the sort of importance of wellness in the home, not being confined to those secondary areas where it used to be, whether it be in a finished basement or tucked back in a room that wasn't sort of prominent in the home. It's a front and center component where people are proud of their wellness spaces. They want them to be something that become a hub of activity for friends and family even, and really connecting to the outdoors wherever the project might be. So that's where a real shift has happened, I think.
I think the outdoors is actually something, and that we're very lucky in South Florida to, spending a lot of our time outdoors. And the outdoors, I think wherever you are, makes a huge difference. I mean, whether you live in a house or you live in a condo, if you have a large balcony, say in a condo, in a view, it changes completely your life. And if you have a house and a, really big garden and pool, or, little forest next to it, or palm trees, or whatever it is, I think that's, it's an element of wellness, the fact that it's open, that there's light. And that's what people want, because it's true that when you talk about big cities, unless you have a full view on the city, you don't really want to be in an apartment, facing, another building, and, there's no light, or, even if it's a nice little cozy apartment.
Yeah, no, I recently actually purchased a place in Palm Beach, a condo, and I was looking for several years to find just the right fit for my family and myself. And as you say, it was very important to have sort of the outdoor space, sort of glass on 2 to 3 sides. We sort of purchased in an Art Deco building, an older building, so it's rare to get end units, but to us that was very important to have that light and that connection to the view and the water. So it's
and there's a lot of health benefits of actually being close to the water.
Absolutely. I mean, you get to go through a lot of the fantastic buildings that exist down in Miami and South Beach right now, which are fantastic. So, it's an exciting market to be a part of, and there's a lot of action right now, I'm sure, as well, right? You guys have a lot of stuff going on.
There's actually a lot of action. I mean, obviously, as you probably saw and everybody else saw, the single family home has been very hot. They're flying off. I mean, whether it's a $1 to $2 million house or a $10 or $50 million house, a lot of people have been buying that. But also the condo market, because there's a lot of inventory here. There's a lot of different types of products. There's boutique products. There's high rises. There's different, there's something for everyone. That's what I always say in Miami and South Florida. There's the option of, having the type of home you want and every price point, which is really interesting. I mean, there's the, more expensive, like south of Fifth, which is great because everything is walkable. You're close to the ocean. And then you have also Brickell, which is great. And it's the city life, but it's not intense as New York. And you have access also to the water, and you're close to everything. So there's actually a lot of really great neighborhoods and buildings. And when we were speaking actually on the phone a few days ago, I was telling you about a very unique and boutique project called Arte, which you probably know, Arte Surfside. And it's 16 residences that are very unique, and it feels like home. It's on the ocean, and they're full floor, and you have sunrise to sunset. And the finishes, talking of finishes, because we were talking about that as well, that's very important. And that's something that there needs to be more here in South Florida, is higher quality finishes in obviously the developer Art is so people are looking for high quality as well as space and outdoor space.
Sure. I think, it's interesting, having done work in South Florida in several of the condo buildings over the past 10 years. I think there has been a real evolution to the delivered quality at the end of the day, that it's been elevated. And I think developers have really realized that they have to continue to raise the bar to create that product that appeals to the end user and give them a finished product. I think, this idea of these designer ready places, I feel like that's going away a little bit, but maybe it's still around. It's something I never understood. It seemed a little half baked to just leave out flooring, but give people everything else. And so it's very interesting to come into those buildings and see the varied approaches that many folks have taken over the years, and what they believe is luxury, what they believe is a lifestyle that people from around the world will respond to. And it's very clear the buildings that are far more successful than others, because, as you know, I'm sure the product sells much quicker and people move in and out. So people, they need to learn how to sort of recalibrate the finishes inside those units at the end of the day.
So I have a few images of some work you've done. I'm going to show a few images. There's some projects in the Hamptons. Great. Some in actually South Florida, in the Bahamas, and you can tell us a little bit briefly, because I think people have to see like the design, and then obviously at the end, if anybody's interested, I'll send more information about your firm. But the design is really, it's really nice. Hold on one second. So let's see. So give me 1 second.
Yep.
If
I don't know how
I'm
to
able
use
to
all
get
this
these
technology.
images.
Technology is always.
Okay. So yeah, technology is, you know what? So I think this is the issue I have. Hold on. I might not be able to show it this time, and this is because actually I think probably the images were dated, you know, when they were taking the
Oh,
photo. So I have to go back and everything, and I'd saved all
oh
of them.
boy. I mean, I
So
can talk through
yeah,
some of the projects, and we've been fortunate enough to do some work in the Bahamas. I'm location where they've built both condo developments and single family homes as well. And we were able to do one of the oceanfront homes. And, you know, back to the sort of contextual language that I think I was talking about before, we brought a modern sensibility to what is a very, to a place that has a very rich history and a certain style.
yeah,
And, you know, our clients only request for that project was they wanted to be able to come into it and be able to be dressed up, you know, for an evening out and walk around in flip flops and shorts and a t-shirt. So it was a great balance of sort of the different lifestyles that one exists in their second home. And
and
there's just a lot of
that project was where exactly? Because I think you got cut off.
it is in Albany, in
Albany, that's what I
Nassau,
said. Yeah, yeah,
yep,
Albany.
in the
Yeah.
Bahamas. And just, you know, a project very, very rich in materials and textures and patterns, and just, you know, has a little bit of a Caribbean flair to it, but certainly a modern point of view as well. We've also recently just finished a pretty in-depth renovation of a home in Palm Beach. It was sort of
Yeah.
like a 70s modern house that we completely stripped out the inside of and re-envisioned on the architectural side and the decorating side. And again, sort of just understanding the lifestyle and the approach that people want to live there, which is a very indoor outdoor one. Making sure that all the spaces took advantage of that and connected appropriately. But just sort of, you know, the thing that I'm intrigued of, I spent a bit of time in Palm Beach a few weeks ago. You know, the scale of the homes that people are building there are just really tremendous. That, you know, different regions where you go, there's a different scale. So you go Greenwich, Palm Beach, and certainly parts of the Caribbean, like the homes are just tremendous. The rooms are enormous, and it's a very different task from a design point of view to sort of balance out that scale and materiality and furnishings within those different spaces. And it's what makes designing in different areas very, very exciting. You know, certainly when you're working in New York apartments and urban apartments, the scale is again very different from a home. So that sort of balance is pretty interesting for us at the end of the day.
No, those markets have, you know, huge houses and different the design, and I mean the architecture, the design, the space. I mean, it's when you talk about Palm Beach or Greenwich or some other parts of the country, there's some places like ranches, you know, in Colorado, or you know,
just they go on and on forever, and you realize how much people actually, you know, connect to all those rooms and use every bit of it at the end of the day. And I think that's a testament to good.
yeah. Usually on, you know, on all the projects you've worked, I mean, what is the timing, you know, to complete a project? I mean, do you have some projects that take a few months and some other that take a few years? I assume the bigger houses, but what is the process from A to Z,
Sure.
more or less, you know,
Sure.
to
Sure. I mean, it definitely varies from project to project and region to region. Working on condo projects is one where you know, it's permitting process depends on scope. I mean, we always tell people design on the lower end, on the sort of quicker end, is usually a 4 to 6 month process, and then ultimately execution is anywhere between 6 and, you know, 36 months depending on the size. So it's really a project by project thing. We do have clients that come in and tell us, listen, I've got 12 months, I want to get this thing done, can you do it? And, you know, we seem to always put ourselves in a difficult position every year where we take on 1 or 2 where we're just killing ourselves to get something done in a time frame that's completely unrealistic, but somehow we deliver in the end. the team, the folks in my office hate when we do that, but it's sometimes that's what it takes to get the job, that you've got to sort of
for sure.
over promise and over deliver in a period of time that's unrealistic.
Did you have any, I assume you did, but any crazy requests from a client, for design in the house or something?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, we've been doing a lot of safe rooms lately for people, rooms that you can fully, they're not a very exciting thing to talk about, but they're real. They speak to the times a little bit. We're seeing those a lot more common. We've just finished a home where we've got a tremendous indoor pool and wellness center component, and I think it's something that, one, we're really proud of. It feels like it's a resort almost at the end of the day, but it's fantastic. And then there's all these other private nuances of people where there are safes spread out through everywhere in the house because people have crazy collections, and it goes on and on. I mean, there's the conversations and the interactions we have with clients over a 4-year period sometimes in a project are pretty intense, pretty funny, pretty challenging, pretty crazy.
But that's actually an interesting point you put out there, because me as being in real estate, and you in architecture and design, and we're all connected, but we deal with people, and I think that's also besides the day-to-day business that we're in, like dealing with people and having conversations with them, whether crazy or not, but it's something I love, and I assume you love as well, because you have to be able to have a certain psychology, deal with requests.
Absolutely, Benjamin. Absolutely. At the end of the day, we're in a people business, and
connecting with people and understanding what they want.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Sure.
So to finish this conversation,
it is fantastic. Yep. No, go ahead.
Yeah. So So I have a few questions. What is your definition of luxury? Because I know it's everybody has their own definition, but you as being an architect and designer, what is your definition of luxury?
Yeah, I don't feel it's an aesthetic. I think it's a state of mind, and for everyone, luxury is defined in a slightly different way. So I like to think about it as a complete holistic environment that provides sort of a calming mindset and balance. But it's very different. Certainly, there's a level of quality, there's a level of finish, there's a place that is something that feels connected to an individual. But I don't really feel like it's an aesthetic. I think it's more of a state of mind that can be achieved in many different ways. Some folks might say luxury is sitting out on a chair on a sandy beach on your own, and others may say luxury is I need to be in a room that is gilded with the fanciest materials and artwork and people and all of that. So it's you have to be nimble in this business to be able to define things that are appropriate to each individual project and client at the end of the day.
But I love the way you define it, and I agree with you that the holistic environment is quite powerful, and for me that's also a way to define luxury. I mean, a holistic, especially in the world we live in today. The environment makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
Another question: what are your thoughts on the future of home? And what are people going to request more and more? So obviously, the home office, wellness, but what do you see over the next few years? Because we've gone through a big shift.
Yes. Yeah, I think the future of home is going to be pretty fantastic in the next 5 years. I think it's just like, as I said, as I said earlier, I feel like people see themselves spending a lot more time in home, and that may be some people have 2 and 3 homes, whatever that is, but they want to be in their own space. And and it's about building homes that are for generations, not building homes that are for temporary use. I think, over the past 20 years of my career, a lot of people were creating homes in some cases just to flip. There was no connection to it. It was really a commodity that they could trade and and move around and do again, which is not a terrible thing.
Mm-hmm.
But there seems to be a level of permanence that we're talking about with our clients right now, that these homes are generational homes. They want to make sure they provide for a growing family, whether it be more kids, grandkids, in-laws, and bringing people together in a way where there's separation, but togetherness also as well. So how that happens is where the sort of, the magic of the design will find itself on any given site. And I'm even seeing, I was in some projects in Florida the other week, and it was interesting that even in a condo project, they created a guest house within the condo project. So it's almost like a studio or 1-bedroom apartment attached to a 4-bedroom apartment, but it's sold as one unit. I thought that was very interesting. Right. I thought that was very forward thinking as well. Yeah. So if you're trying to live in a more urban space, like create those same conditions that you can create in a suburban setting, but do it in more of an urban setting as well. I thought that was fantastic, actually.
I'm sure, for sure. Well, Andrew, we're coming to an end. Thank you so much for being a wonderful. Anyone who's interested in learning more about Andrew and Workshop APD, make sure to follow their Instagram account, which is, I think, at Workshop APD. Or else, and if you need any information, you can DM me or DM them directly. We can send you information. If you know anyone who's looking to redesign their home or design a home, they're awesome. They're from New York, and they have a great team, which is great. I think that's also something we didn't really discuss much, but we'll probably do it in another BT talk, so we can talk a lot about it. But I think that I know a few people in your team, and and built a strong team, and I feel that everybody in your team has an important role, and you're like a family, and you're working on incredible projects. And I think that's very, very important to deliver also great projects.
Great. Awesome, Benjamin. Thank you so much.
Very
really
cool.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Appreciate it a lot.
Talk
Thank
to
you.
Yep.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.